I got one for y'all today that is something that I think a lot of us, especially the closer that we get to God, feel, and that is, why does discernment feel so lonely? Like the closer you get to God, the more He sharpens your discernment. You just feel like you're isolated from people, or that you just don't feel understood, or you feel kind of cast aside, or it's just even harder to make friends or keep connections that you value. And I want to read to you Proverbs 4:23. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. I think it is really important that we pay attention to things, that we get a sense or a feeling, we pick up on things. We don't allow ourselves to be surrounded by people that drain us or use us, who don't have good intentions for us, who try to become stumbling blocks in our relationship with God. I think it is important that, when God gives you discernment, that you use it, that you value it, that, you may find yourself noticing patterns more and more. Like you see cycles and behaviors that others seem to miss, even the slightest things. You can recognize when somebody is being manipulative, when they're telling lies. Just the slightest, smallest forms of deception. You're picking up on it. And maybe you don't even want to. And I was talking to my mom about this today, that, it is a blessing, but it's also a curse in a way, because I see so many people who are, oblivious to certain things, thoughts, patterns, and they say ignorance is bliss. Not that those people are ignorant, but they don't always see the patterns and behaviors that maybe you do. Like you might pick up when someone doesn't like you. And not everybody has that. I was telling her today how for some people that don't have discernment, they will literally be in the wolf's den, thinking that people that they're surrounded by are truly their friends, but they're not. And it's a dangerous place to be. But at the same time, when you have discernment, the hard part is you recognize and see things that maybe you don't want to see. And I wonder if there's some of you out there who are currently dealing with that. You see danger that a lot of times other people refuse to see. And I feel like the closer I got to God, or that I have gotten to God, the sharper my discernment's been. The more I see things and feel things and pick up on things. There were friends in my life, people that I valued and trusted so much, but the closer I got to God, the more I began to see that they were not people that were safe for me to be around. And that was painful to accept. And so I do have sympathy for those people who maybe do not have the gift of discernment. Theirs is not quite as developed, that they don't want to see. I can see why they don't want to see the truth. I'm sorry if y'all happen to hear my husband and kids. But let's take a look at Matthew chapter 7, verse 4. I'm sorry, 14. So it says here, because strait is the gate and narrow is the way which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. The sharper your discernment is, the harder it is for you to not see just the most minor things, like the way a relationship will shift, how conversations feel heavier or different, or you're picking up on these subtle little things that others are just missing. There's something unsettling in your spirit, and people might even tell you, oh, you're being paranoid, you're overthinking. They may think that you're arrogant, and it's that they're ignoring red flags, but you're actually awake to something. They don't want to see it. He's saying here that the gate is, the way is narrow. Not a lot of people want to follow it. Not a lot of people want to wake up to the truth. There's a lot of people who want to be deceived. because they're uncomfortable with the truth or the reality that they're actually surrounded by people and situations that are dangerous. But even Jesus, there are times where he went away, he withdrew himself because he needed space, he needed to get clarity, he needed peace, he needed quiet. Not because he didn't love people, but he needed some space. And it can feel so isolated and so lonely when you're waking up to the truth and other people refuse to see it. Let's go over to James 1. So 1:5, and it says here, if any of you lack wisdom, let him ask God, that giveth to all men liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given to him. When you're trying to warn other people, a lot of times they're not going to want to see it. A lot of times they don't understand, and they'll tell you that you're just reading too much into it. You're just taking that and you're running with it. It's not a big deal. And you know what? I wasn't going to talk about this, but let's flip over to Isaiah, because I heard this in church the other day, Sunday, and I took a lot of notes. Look at all the notes I took. I took so many notes, and the service was on being witnesses for the new year, and the preacher was talking about people who are blind know that they can't see, but people who are spiritually blind think that they see just fine. There are people that have the ability to see and to hear, but they refuse because they're spiritually blind. And they don't want to see. They don't want to. They don't want to accept the truth. It's uncomfortable to them. There are people who love the world and worldly things so much, they don't want to give them up. They don't want to give up these friendships that are not good for them. They don't want to give up these things, these idols, these situations, these addictions. And we all fall short. We are all sinners. We are flesh. Our flesh is weak. But those of us who are trying to walk with God and be a witness to God, we are trying to recognize these things and change the things about ourselves and surround ourselves with the right kinds of people and cut off certain things, that are causing us to stumble in our walk with God. But there are genuinely people that just do not want to see. And it can feel so lonely. And you probably do. When you try to bring up God, religion, you try to talk about, how to be saved, the Bible, that they kind of roll their eyes, or even if they're polite, you can tell that something's off. They don't want to hear about it. They just don't. They're not ready to see. They don't want to. And, you can pray for those people, and you should pray. That should be the very first thing you do, pray for those people, that God will reveal things to them, plant seeds, water those seeds. But it's hard. It feels isolating. It feels lonely because you want so much to reach people, but there are people that don't want to. They have the ears to hear, they have the eyes to see, but they don't want to. And I am sympathetic to that because I remember not that long ago, I was in that same boat. People tried to reach me and I didn't want to hear. I knew the truth, but I didn't want to hear it. And I've talked about this a little bit before. I haven't really gone in depth, but some of you do know that, I used to be a professional tarot reader. And during that time, I didn't use my gifts the way that I should have. There was a period of time where I let the devil tell me that God's gift of discernment was intuition and make a career out of it. That I could make money and I could have success and I could have this. And I realize now how precious this gift is that not a lot of people have. And I pray that more people will wake up and recognize it and embrace it. The closer I've gotten to God, the sharper it's become. The more I see things. It's like I had rose-colored glasses on, but I couldn't tell I did. And I just pray that more and more people will wake up to the truth, that they'll remove those glasses. They don't know they're wearing them. They don't. And I'm sure that there's probably times for you where you didn't even recognize that, you kind of turned away from the truth or didn't want to fully hear it, or you knew, but you just didn't want to think about it too much. I think we've all kind of been there at some point in time. And something that's really on me right now is that more and more people begin to kind of see the truth. It is an isolating and lonely feeling to carry around this gift of discernment. And like I said, and there's times where it feels like a blessing and times where it feels like a curse. There's times where you want so badly to be friends with people in your life, but you know they don't like you. You know they don't like when you talk about God. You know this, and this. You feel it. You feel it in your spirit. Something feels off. And nobody else, have you ever met somebody and thought, there's something about that person, I don't trust them, that something about that person. And, people will look at you, oh, they're such a nice person. You're just reading too much into it. Don't be a negative Nancy. They're great. They're a nice person. But you're like, I don't know, there's something just tells me not to trust them. Don't trust them. Something's off about it. But they can't see it. And it's not trying to judge other people. You just feel something in your spirit, like convicting you, like, I shouldn't hang around this person. I shouldn't be talking too much to this person. I need to distance myself from this person or this kind of situation or this kind of thing. You have that discerning spirit. And it's not just about people. It could be about things in your life that you begin to be able to discern are idols for you or stumbling blocks for you. And there's a lot of people that don't want to make these sacrifices, that don't want to make these changes. There's a lot of people who do not want to see the truth. And so, if this is something that you've faced or dealt with, let me know in the comments. Let me know if this message helped you in some way. You're not alone. There's others of us out here who are struggling with this and dealing with this and feeling like we're losing people left and right, and even the people that we still have in our lives, we know that there's some kind of distance between us now, because the closer we've gotten to God, the more they've kind of shunned us or, kind of side-eyed us, or you can feel that they're just kind of tired of hearing about your faith or about, your walk with God and how your life is changing. They don't want to hear it. You feel something's off energetically, and other people that they may think you're crazy. They may say, oh, you've become too religious, you've become too this, you've become too that. They tell you that you're just paranoid, you overthink everything, but they can't feel what you feel. They're not picking up on what you pick up on. But you're not alone. You have God. There's a community of us, out there who are in a similar boat, and I'm praying for y'all. If this is you, if this resonates for you, if this is something that you're facing personally, know that you're not alone, and God is with you. Let's go over there as well. Let's go to Psalm 34:18. The Lord is nigh unto them that are of a broken heart, and saveth such as be of a contrite spirit. God's with you. If your heart is broken, if you feel like people have cut you off, if you feel isolated, if you feel alone, He's with you. He hears your cries, He hears your prayers, and He will bring people into your life that understand and are where you are. So don't lose hope, okay? Bye, y'all.